Hey everybody, Jerry Miculek here. The title of the video is Never Do This. So I'm going to show you the proper way to do things with the revolver. I'm going on 30 years as a professional revolver shooter, which is kind of a very niche market. But anyway, what I've seen in my days of competition, the guys handle their revolvers incorrectly. And what happens to the gun itself, you just beat it to death because you handle it incorrectly. You have to remember this is just a machined piece of steel. It's like anything else. You can take a nail and bend it. You can do the same thing to a firearm. You can put stress on it that you don't really need to. So, to begin with, to correctly open a revolver, you never want to thrust on the cylinder before you hit the thumb latch. Okay, that sounds really, what do you mean? Okay, if I push on the cylinder really hard and I haven't started the thumb latch yet, what you do, you're going to swipe that center pin through the fit in the frame. See where the center pin fits in the frame? This side of the frame, this side of the hole, you're torquing that center pin before you hit the cylinder release. Every time you do that, you're popping that pin through that hole and you're swiping the back side of the frame. I've seen some really good guns destroyed that way. So, common sense would tell you to start the cylinder latch long before you thrust on the cylinder. That's one thing you want to always do. Push the cylinder latch, then open the cylinder. And another thing you want to do on the cylinder, you always want to try to open it from the top and not the bottom. If you push on the bottom of the cylinder and you don't let it turn, you're going to swipe it. You're going to swipe that cylinder stop right on the back side of the cylinder notch on the cylinder, and you can see that's the most shallow part of the cylinder stop is the back side. So when you thrust on it and you don't let the cylinder rotate when you open it, it's got to swipe itself through that fit, and you're going to soon round that part off, or you're going to burr it to a point to where when you shoot it real quick, the cylinder stop comes up, hits that notch, and it jumps around, and you got a cylinder that'll turn and skip a charge hole. So, to correctly open your cylinder, push on the cylinder stop first, and push on the top of the cylinder, not on the bottom. Let it roll out. Doesn't sound like much, but when you do it 10,000, 20,000 times like you would on a competition gun, you'll beat up parts of the gun that you don't need to. So, okay, that's how you open a cylinder. And how to close it correctly. When you look at a 45 ACP gun like this, you notice it's got big ammunition. So what does that mean? It's extremely heavy ammunition. They weigh 230 grains apiece. So, when you go to close it, if it's fully loaded, and you do the old, I'm really tough guy, watch me slam my cylinder shut for no reason other than it looks good, and I slam it like this, and it's rotating with all that ammunition in it, and it's going to rotate this way, and you notice again, you're going to beat up the shallow side of your cylinder stop notch. Okay, because all that ammunition is spinning, the cylinder spinning, it's going to find that cylinder stop, and you're hitting it on the shallow side of the stop in the cylinder, and you're going to burr it, you're going to beat that cylinder out. If you look at this cylinder itself, it's probably got 50,000 rounds in it, and it's really serviceable. And what you want to realize when Smith & Wesson manufactures a revolver, what they're trying to do is to have a point between the cylinder being very durable and also not making it frangible to the point to where if you do a double charge or you have a bad round of ammunition and the cylinder you overstress the cylinder with an excessive charge, this thing does not fragment like a hand grenade. So they take that into account when they manufacture the cylinder. So this is a compromise between being extremely hard and extremely brittle. So it's just a machined piece of metal. Take care of it and it'll take care of you. So anyway, so there you have it, guys. Never have a fully loaded cylinder or any cylinder and ever just swipe it. You see, guys, I'm not even going to do it to my gun. It's so abusive, they just flip it closed. Some kind of Dick Tracy thing you see. TV is horrible about gun handling. That's the worst thing to do to a revolver. It's a very precision fitted instrument and you want to treat it that way. So when I close it, if I'm doing my fastest speed loads, I'm never putting any rotational stress on the cylinder. I'm just going to close it. Don't roll your hand on it as you're closing it. That's one thing I don't like about not changing grips when you do a reload. You have a tendency to do the load and you slap it shut like this, and you're rotating it against the shallow side of the cylinder stop by rotating it this way as you close. One thing I like about doing a two-handed reload is when I go to close it, I can contain the cylinder and I just close it. And it doesn't sound like much until you do it 10, 20, 30, 40,000 times. So there you have it, guys. And if you want to dry fire your gun, these are the new generation Smith & Wessons. If you look at the hammer, there's no hammer nose on it or firing pin affixed to the hammer. It's going to be mounted in the frame. So if you want to dry fire your gun, like I do a lot, either you get the correct snap cap in the caliber that the revolver is chambered in, or if you do like I might do it periodically, you take your old cleaning patch, put it between the hammer and the frame, and it cushions the blow to the hammer to the frame. But you got to remember to take it out. I remember going to Steel Challenge one year, and I showed up on the line, and my first run I forgot to take my snap cap out of the frame, and there I was, no gun. Anyway, there you have it, guys, the correct way to handle a revolver. It's a very precision instrument. You take care of it, it takes care of you, and you can continuously get some.